Alright, guys, welcome back to Drew Reviews, where we mostly talk about sci fi, action, and horror movies. Mostly. Today, it's game over, man, as we talk about the 1986 sci fi action classic, Aliens. So, guys, we're going to get right into Aliens today because if you're clicking on this, the chances are you've seen Aliens, and you just want validation that you have good taste, and you do. So, real briefly, the plot of Aliens, you've got the character of Ellen Ripley after she survived the events of the first movie. She's in the Narcissus, and she's been floating in space for 57 years. She ends up on this space station, and she's trying to put the pieces of her life back together. She keeps having nightmares, and the company actually comes to see her about going on this mission because they've actually turned LV-426 into this terraform planet where they're trying to put life there. And of course, she didn't know that at the time, and they've lost contact with the settlers on the planet. So they want her there as a consultant, and she's going to go in with this heavily armed Colonial Marines crew. So, of course, they arrive there on LV-426, and they find out that everybody on this planet has been killed by something that they eventually find out, are the aliens from the first movie, only there's hordes of them in this movie. There's only one survivor, this little girl named Newt, and there's a great dynamic there between Ripley and Newt. And of course, everything goes to hell in the movie, and they're just trying to get off the planet. And so you've got the character of Burke who meets Ripley in the beginning, and he's trying to sabotage everything so he can get this alien past quarantine. And man, this is just a great movie. I want to get into the things I like right now. So this is director James Cameron's second official film, not counting Piranha 2: The Spawning. And when Conan the Destroyer caused the Terminator to be preempted by several months, Jim Cameron had nothing to do but write. And so David Giler of Brandywine actually got a hold of the Terminator script and wanted him to write a treatment for aliens. So Cameron had a couple of different ways he could go here. You've got Ridley Scott's sci-fi horror classic Alien. And at this time, in 85, 86, it was considered a classic even then. And he could retread that, or he could go his own way. And I got to say, it took a lot of balls to do what he did. He took, the sci-fi horror thing and made it this sci-fi action horror thing and just made it bigger and bolder. He had this script that he was working on called Mother, and he incorporated that a lot into the Ripley character with the character of Newt. If you watch the extended cut of this movie, which this is the only scene of the extended cut that I actually prefer, I think the extended cut of Aliens actually slows down the pacing of the movie pretty bad. But this one scene I wish they'd left in, and it's where Burke tells Ripley that she'd actually floated out in space for 57 years. And, she was going to make it home in time for her daughter's 11th birthday. Well, after 57 years, her daughter's died of cancer. And so there's this void in her life, and they go to LV-426, and she finds Newt, this little girl who's hidden the air ducts. So there's this great commentary, this great recurring theme of motherhood in this movie, and the bond between a mother and a daughter, and that is just done so masterfully here by Cameron and by Sigourney Weaver and the Carrie Henn who played Newt, who was 10 years old at this time and had never done anything. Yeah, I can't commend her enough for coming in and just giving that performance. And speaking of performances, Sigourney Weaver was actually nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress. And this didn't happen in genre pictures like this. Artsy fartsy indie stuff, that's normally where your best actress comes from, or some just boring drama that we're not going to cover here on Drew Reviews because you don't care about it. So yeah, the fact that she got nominated as Best Actress, that was huge, and just set Sigourney Weaver off. I mean, she was already big after Alien and Ghostbusters, but this just made her a household name. So the rest of the cast in this movie are just fantastic. You've got Paul Reiser as Burke, and he is so slimy in this thing. You'd think the alien would be villain enough, but the character of Burke is just so smarmy and terrible in this thing. And you can kind of see through him from the beginning, and he's a low-level executive for Weyland-Yutani, and so he's trying to actually get an alien through quarantine, but the only way he can do it is if they impregnate Newt or Ripley. So as terrible as a character as he is, I kind of get his motivations, wanting to move up in the ranks, but he's just written so masterfully. As far as the Colonial Marines in this thing, man, you've got some scene chomping going on. Al Matthews plays Apone, the leader, and I want to say he was actually a military guy, and you can actually hear it when he's leading these guys in their marches. He just screams military. You've got Jeanette Goldstein as Vasquez in this, and she is just awesome in this movie. I love that interaction between her and Bill Paxton's character Hudson in the beginning. Hey Vasquez, you ever been mistaken for a man? No, have you? Just great stuff. Michael Biehn is here as Hicks. And the story goes that James Remar was actually there filming some scenes, and I don't know if him and Cameron clashed or there's some issues there. And so Michael Biehn actually got a phone call in California on a Friday night and was there in London at the studio on a Monday. And so for him to take that and be reunited with Jim Cameron, I just all kinds of respect for Michael Biehn. I love him in The Terminator. I love him in this, in The Abyss, and Tombstone. I've seen some movies that he's been in, like Time Bomb, where he can't touch the heights that he is here with this great director. But I really love and respect Michael Biehn. The other Marine I wanted to talk about is Hudson. Hudson in this movie, played by the legendary Bill Paxton, rest in peace, sir. He is the conscience of the viewer in this thing. He's our fears as we watch Aliens and what's transpiring. He has so many great one-liners. Like I said, game over, man, game over. And then, I love that scene in the dropship. I think this one's actually a deleted scene where he's going, "Don't worry, Ripley, we'll protect you. We've got guns, knives, sharp sticks." Just bravado on top of bravado. It's amazing. There's some more great lines from Paxton in this where they talk about it's going to be 2 weeks before there's a pickup. And he's like, "Man, we're screwed." And they're like, "This little girl survived longer than that, with no training. Oh, why don't you just put her in charge?" It's just Bill Paxton was amazing in this movie. I absolutely love him, and I love that he went down like a boss in that final fight, with the red light and everything. Just love that Hudson character. Bishop, played by Lance Henriksen's amazing. In that first movie, you've got the character of Ash, the android that went haywire, and so Ripley can't trust Bishop, and Lance Henriksen has that face where you don't know if you can trust him or not. He's just really stern looking. And so I love that he was the one person, besides Newton, besides Hicks, and maybe Vasquez, that could be trusted. The aliens in this thing are really good. The alien queen is a master in puppeteering. This thing took two guys to puppet it, and it's just amazing what they captured on the big screen when Ripley's fighting it when she goes back after Newt. And that's another thing, the suspense and the world building in this movie. I love that scene whenever Newt falls into the water and that alien queen comes up behind her, and you see just the despair on Ripley's face, and she's not going to leave without Newt. And they go back, and she's got the ammo, she's got the flamethrower, and she has that face to face with the alien queen. That's an amazing scene. Of course, they end up escaping, and I wanted to talk about this part of the movie a little bit because I love the score here by James Horner. There's a part of this called Bishop's Countdown, and it's been used in all kinds of movie trailers. That dun 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 dun. And if I was ever like in an actual band, that would be my walk-on song. The arena darkens and that music hits, and then boom, right into the first song. I love that part of the score, and as they're escaping that, it's just amazing. You have that final confrontation with where the queen comes out for that last scare, and she rips Bishop in half, and you've got that get away from her. It's just an amazing. I just got goosebumps talking about it. It's an amazing scene. So well written by Cameron, so well acted by all those involved, and the puppeteering genius that's going on in that scene. Cannot praise this movie enough. I love the camaraderie that the Marines have with each other. And talking about suspense, that scene underneath the atmosphere processor where the aliens first attack, that is amazing. And you're talking suspense right there. That's just like kind of like Predator, where you don't know where it's coming from, and the aliens are coming out of the walls. It's got like this post Vietnam effect that's just disorienting, and that part of the movie is terrifying. And they tease a little bit of a love interest there between Ripley and Hicks, and so that gives you even more vested interest in this character. You have this surrogate family of her and him and Newt. And I feel like after all the scares and all the tension, you kind of need that, just something to grab onto, something that's got an emotional core to it. And then this movie is so good that the only place they could go is down from here. You've got this surrogate family of Ripley and Hicks and Newt and Bishop, who's torn in half and barely functions, and they get in this shuttle and take off at the end. And I actually like to think they're still floating somewhere out there in space, but somebody decided they need to make more money, and so they commissioned Alien 3 without even having a script, and they just raped this movie. They took everything you like about this movie, and before the opening credits are over, they just defecate all over it. And that's not a slight against this movie. That's just, you know, it's awful. I'm so mad at Alien 3, and if you guys want to see it, I'll do an Alien 3 rant. It it might get bad, but I love Aliens. It is my second favorite movie of all time after The Terminator, and it's really close actually. It's closer than what you would think. And he peaked pretty early, with The Terminator and Aliens. The Abyss is pretty good, and then Terminator 2 is amazing. True Lies I like, and after that, I just don't care about Jim Cameron movies that much. Titanic's okay, and like The Terminator and Terminator 2, I'm going to give Aliens a 10. It is amazing. There is nothing wrong with this movie. I cannot find any fault in the actual theatrical cut at all, and it is how you do this genre in the correct way. Between the world building, the characters, the acting, the action, suspense, there's nothing bad I can say about this movie. As a matter of fact, if you don't like Aliens, I'm not even sure what you're doing watching this channel. I think maybe you should reevaluate your life choices, or go spend time in isolation on a beach and try to search deep within yourself and not kid yourself that this is just an amazing movie. So yeah, now that I've gotten all that out of the way, this is the third 10 out of 10 I've given on this channel, and it is well deserved. Kudos to you, Mr. Cameron, and everybody involved, from Sigourney Weaver all the way down to the guy who got coffee for everybody. You did awesome. So coming up next, guys, I'm not sure which direction I'm going to go. I had some votes on the community poll. Hard Target placed really high. Night of the Creeps placed really high. I'm probably going to do those. Been wanting to do Anaconda. That one's kind of a fun movie. Little creature feature. I've not done too many of those lately. So stay tuned for those. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave me your favorite Aliens quote down in the comments. There are so many in this movie. I expect a whole lot of comments. So until next time, guys, this is Andrew, and I'll see you down the line. So before I go, guys, I wanted to show everybody the real star of this video. This is my boy Ripley here. Originally, we thought he was a boy. When they're kittens, it's hard to tell. And I was going to name him Jonesy. And we're like, no, that's a girl. And so Ripley stuck. And then we found out, no, it is a boy. So now he's just Ripley. So I woke him out of a nap. So I promise he's alive. He's just really tired right now.